Today, we are going to start a new lesson about labor laws. And in the labor laws, at the top is the Factories Act of 1934, which deals with the workers of the factory. So, Factories Act 1934 that deals with the three main topics. It has got three themes. Number one is cleanliness. Number two is holidays and working hours. And number three is employment of children. So let's start with the first part or the first theme of the Labor Factories Act 1934. It starts from section 13 onward till section 33. So this is the largest part of the act, and it deals with that. One when goes through this act gets really surprised that this law was made more than 100 years ago, and it was drafted and promulgated, you see, by our British masters. How kind they were. When you will go through the provisions of this law, and when you will come to know that what safeguards, you see, and what safety and health safeguards have been provided by this law for the laborers, for the workers of factories of this subcontinent, not of the United Kingdom of that time, you will really realize that they were, to some extent, although they were colonialists and they took our homeland without our consent, but you see, they did a lot for us. So let's start talking about health and safety of laborers, or health and safety of the workers who work in factories. Section 13, you see, it deals with uh, you see 13 and 14 with the cleanliness of the factory premises. Uh, First of all, it says that dirt and refuse. Dirt and refuse. Factory means that something is produced, something is made out of raw material. Either it's a sugar factory or it's something else. I mean, whatever the nature of the product of the factory is, you see, factory means you see, producing something, manufacturing something. And in most of the products which are produced by the factories, raw materials are used. Okay, so just suppose that factory is producing just one thing, and that is tomato ketchup. So they use tomato. If it is a sugar factory, then sugar cane is you see, used for producing sugar, which I call white poison, you see. So that remains, that you see, results into dirt and refuses, which is called in English language bagasse, the refuse of sugar cane, the refuse of sugar cane, you see, from where the juice of the sugar cane has been extracted. So the remaining part is called bagasse, and this word bagasse is used in Punjabi as well, I think, but this is originally, you see, English word. So first part of section 13 says that uh, accumulation of dirt and refuse shall be removed how many uh, during how many days? Daily. It says that accumulation where dirt and refuse or bagasse of the raw product, you see, a raw thing which are used for the production of something in the factory, if it accumulates, and it accumulates daily, because well, factories, they work round the clock, day and night. So every day it must be removed from the factory premises and must be disposed of, you see, according to the provision of this act. It never means that the refuse and that should be thrown away outside the factory. That would be injurious for the public health. All right. So it says that accumulation of dirt and refuse shall be removed daily by sweeping uh, uh, sweeping or by any effective method from the floor and benches of workroom and from staircases and disposed of in a suitable manner. Okay, so all dirts, all refuses uh, have to be removed from each and every part of the factory and have to be disposed of in a suitable manner. What is suitable manner? There are municipal laws which tell you that what should you do with, you see, with your litter or with your refuse or with your dirt. Okay, so that has to be disposed of according, keeping in view, you see, the municipal laws. Then comes the second part of section 13, talks about the cleaning of floors, cleaning of floors. It says that the floors of every workroom shall be cleaned at least once in every week, once in every week. So far as removal of dirt and refuse is concerned, that's daily, every day. But cleaning and draining of wet floors, you see, they have to be cleaned and drained every week by washing using disinfectant where necessary or by some other effective method. So floors of every factory, this is a law, and this law has to be abided by the management or owners of the factory. If they are not doing so, I'm sorry, because of the shortage of time, I could not tell you that the very first part of the Factories Act talk about the mechanism of implementation of the provisions of this act. You see, there must be an inspector and sufficient number of inspectors who are obliged. You will see in the act to inspect the factories, whether factories are abiding by the rules of Factories Act 1934 or not. So inspector would, you see, inspect. I mean, God knows. You see, you will really surprised when you go through the details of these health and safety steps which have been, you see, suggested by this law, which have been implemented by this law on the factories. You will surprised to know. But God knows whether they are abiding by these rules or not, or God knows whether these inspectors, they are honestly doing their job. That's not our concern. I mean, what is going on? In fact, you see, I'm not teaching you factual position. I'm teaching you the principle of law. And I forgot to tell you that why question does not arise in your mind that we are going to be a business executives. Why we are being told, why we are being taught, you see, labor laws. What concern we have with the Factories Act? No. Might be in future, inshallah, you become a business executive of a business entity owning so many factories. So as a business executive, as a business part of the management of the factory, you will be dealing with all these problems. So you must be, you see, your institutions want you to have first-hand knowledge of the labor laws as well, so that you can deal with the problems of the laborers. Okay, so second, we are in the second part. It says that, you see, the floors of the factories, each and every part of the factory have to be, or rather shall be cleaned at least once in every week by washing using disinfectants where necessary or by some other effective method. In the same way, it says the second part that wet floor shall be drained by effective means of drainage. If there is water on the floors, or if the nature of the work of the factory is that water flows, or the floors get wet, that has to be drained, and that have to be dried by any effective method. Third part of section 13 says that cleaning of walls and ceilings, not only cleaning of not only removal of dirt and refuse, and not only cleaning of floors, but cleaning of walls and ceilings as well. It says that all inside walls and partitions, walls, if there is a big hole in which partitions has been made to separate, you see that hole, or to divide that hole into small cabins. Then not only the walls of that hole, but you see all inside walls and partitions, all ceilings or top of the rooms and walls, side and tops or passage and staircases shall be repainted and revarnished at least once in every 5 years. It means that all the walls, you see, of all the walls from inside, it's a all inside walls. I mean, it's not obligatory according to section 13 of the Factories Act that walls should be varnished or walls should be painted from outside as well. It says from inside, not only walls but partitions, ceilings, you see, staircases shall be repainted and re-varnish. Where it needs painting, it should be repainted. If where it needs varnish, they should be varnished at least once in 5 years. Every 5 years, okay. The inside of the building of the factory has to be repainted. Where they are painted or varnished. I mean, it never means that if the walls and ceilings and you see partitions have been once painted, then in 5 years you stay at rest. No, no, no. Where they are painted or revarnished, they shall be cleaned at least once in every 14 months. You see, painting for after every 5 years and cleaning after every 14 months. If they are painted, they have to be cleaned thoroughly um, once within every 14 months. In any other case, if they are not varnished, if they are not painted, if the building, you see, have been whitewashed simply, so in any other case, the whitewashing and color washing shall be carried out at least once in every 14 months. Okay? Where the building is not painted and not varnished, it is a simple building, and it's, you see, it involves only, mm, whitewashing. So this whitewashing must be undertaken after every 14 months. All right. And the last part of no, no, this is section 14, which talks about disposal of waste and effluents. Disposal of waste and effluents, particularly, section 13 has referred to this, but particularly a section has been made in the law for disposal of waste and effluents. What does effluent mean? Effluent is, you see, dirt in the form of dirty waters, etc. Okay, so it says that effective arrangement shall be made in every factory for the disposal of waste and effluent, liquid waste, when the waste is in liquid form, accumulated due to the manufacturing process carried on the factory. So it has to be disposed. But how to dispose? Again, I'll tell you that you see, it shall be disposed of according to the municipal laws. You see, which is not injurious to the public. If you sometime travel from Lahore to Rawalpindi, on both sides of the road, you will come across different type of factories and dirty and smelly, bad smell of the water that's coming out of the factories. Nobody cares about that. Anyways, law says 13 and 14 talks about cleanliness of the factory. And the next section, section 15, talks about, or the next topic under the heading of health and safety of labors is ventilation and temperature. Okay. Section 15 talks about ventilation, sufficient ventilation in the working rooms of the factory, and temperature. So, according to section 15, effective and suitable provisions shall be made in every factory for securing and maintaining in every room adequate ventilation by circulation of fresh air and such temperature as well secure to worker reasonable condition of comfort and prevent injury to their health. I mean, if it is Cold weather like December and January, and heating system must be there in the working room. If just suppose that it's the hot months of July and August, when there is a lot of humidity, you see in the air, a lot of sophistication. In that case, you see air conditioning or cooling by any other means according to 1615 must be provided, must be arranged for the workers so that their health is prevented from any sort of injury, from any sort of problem. Next, it says section. Still in within section 15, which talks about ventilation and temperature. So there must be proper ventilation. There must be cross ventilation in the working rooms. All right. Okay. So whether it is stored by opening, keeping the windows of the working room open, or by you see any other mechanical process. Anyway, fresh air has to be according to this law provided to the workers, and temperature must be maintained. In the winter, you see hot, and in the summer, cool weather has to be, or cool temperature has to be maintained in the working room. Similarly, where the nature of the work carried on in a factory involves or is likely to involve the production of excessive high temperature, if the nature of the machinery or the nature of the working in a factory is such that it produced excessive high temperature, such measures should be steps should be taken to lower down that temperature for the worker in the factories. So measures as are practicable shall be taken to protect the workers therefore from separating the process which produces such temperature. Just suppose that if a machine is working, and by the machine of that working excessive high temperature, you see, is created in the hall, that if that can be separated from the working room, should be separated. Otherwise, some other arrangement for lowering the temperature must be taken up. All right. So this was about the ventilation and temperature in the working rooms of a factory. The next topic, or the next part of the first chapter, is talking about prevention of accumulation of dust and fume. Dust and fumes. You see, they are very much expected, more or less in every factory. You see, when machines are working and when things are being processed, so they are most likely to produce dusts and fumes. All right. I don't want to get into the detail of the factories, but you know it very well that every factory creates dust, smokes, fumes, etc., etc. Section 16, you see, deals with this problem. So according to this section, section 16, in every factory in which any dust or fume or other impurity is created in the form of bad smells, created which is likely to be injurious or offensive to the worker. Either it is offensive, or either it is injurious or it is offensive. Offensive means that it is hated by the human body, although it might not be injurious to the health, but if there is a bad smell, you see, that might not be injurious. But if it is bad and it is intolerable by the workers, it has to be removed. So it says that in every factory in which any dust or fume or other impurity is created, which is likely to be injurious or offensive to the workers, effective measures shall be taken to prevent its accumulation in any workroom. I mean, its accumulation cannot be stopped. Why? Because you see, the process of production is continuous around the clock, but there must be some arrangement, some mechanism for removing, or you see, preventing it. If prevention is not possible, then removal of it, I mean disposal of it in a form which is permitted by law, must be undertaken. Moreover, no stationary internal combustion engine shall be operated unless the exhaust is conducted into open air and exhaust pipes are insulated to prevent scalding and radiation. What is a combustion engine? This is just like a fur. This is a machine which burns things. All right, especially in the steel mills. You see, excessive heat is created and things are burnt, or iron is melted. For melting or iron, these machines are used. So this law says, Section 18 says, Section 16, that combustion, where there are combustion machines, I mean the machines which burns thing and which create heat, there must be sufficient, you see, uh, uh, exhaust, you see, has to be erected there, shall be operated unless the exhaust is connected into open ear. And you see, this exhaust should be in the open ear so that you see this heat is disposed of and the workers are prevented from getting sick or getting annoyed by this. Similarly, no internal combustion engine shall be operated in any room unless effective measures have been taken to prevent such accumulation of fumes. If fumes are created by combustion machines, you see, that cannot be installed until and unless measures have been taken, you see, to prevent the accumulation of fumes. There must be a system which you see, disposes of automatically and continuously the fumes created by machine. All right. Then is safety of workers regarding combustion engine, Section 16. Still, we are in Section 16. It says that no stationary internal combustion engine, you see, shall be opened unless the exhaust is connected. We have already talked about it. Okay, so then comes the artificial humidification. You see, sometime in factories, artificial humidification is created. What is humidification? Humidity. You see, the ratio of air, the ratio of water in the air is increased for some production process. In that case, according to Section 17, in any factory in which the humidity of the air is artificially increased, the water use, if the nature of the factory is such that you see, for the production of something, humidity is increased, you see, in the air, or the ratio of the water is needed to be increased in the air. For that purpose, every dirty water should not be used, shall not be used. And Section 17 says that for the purpose, you see, the water used for the purpose shall be taken from a public supply or other sources of drinking water, or shall be effectively purified before it is so used. If water is needed to be used, spread in the air to increase the humidity for the purpose of you see, some function of this of the factory, then water, this section obliges the management of the factory that the water used must be drinking water, must be pure water. If the water is taken from some source which is not of the drinking standard, then it must be first purified, then it should be used for creating artificial humidity in the air. This is Section 17. Then the next the next part of the first chapter is overcrowding. Look at look at the drafters of this law, which drafted this law more than 100 years ago in 1934. Okay, so they say that they have fixed the area for the working people in the working group. There must not be, shall not be any overcrowd in the factory. Again, I'll tell you, God knows who goes and measures that how many how many square feet of area is is provided for one worker. Let's see what's the standard here. What does section 18 say about the overcrowding in the workplaces? It says that no workroom in any factory shall be overcrowded to an extent injurious to the health of the workers employed therein. Look, this World Health Organization has advised the public to stay away at least 6 feet from other human beings to save yourself from corona. This is now in this 2020. While you see this act of Factories Act of 1936, you see provided proper rules for the health and safety of the workers by providing them sufficient and proper space in the factory. Section 18 says that no workroom in any factory shall be overcrowded to an extent injurious to the health of the workers employed therein. That's why every worker shall be provided at least, listen to me attentively, 120 years ago, the law said and the law obliged the factory owners, factory management, that every worker shall be provided at least 350 cubic feet of space. 350 cubic feet of space. What does it mean? That if in a room, if 10 workers, okay, if 10 workers are appointed to work in a room, that room must be minimum of 3,500 square feet, isn't it? Am I right or not? You see, if one worker shall be provided 350 feet square feet of place in a factory, then for 10, it means that if a work room is 300 is 300 3,500 square feet, then no, not more than 10 workers should be required to work there. You see, if there are 11 people or 12 people are working, then you see this is the against of the spirit of Section 18 of Factories Act of 1934. Uh, and this is in the cases of factory which were existed before the Labor Law Amendments Ordinance 1972. The factories which existed before the introduction and promulgation of this law. The law is Labor Laws Amendment Ordinance 1972, meaning that factories which were established before 1972, they will have to provide 350 cubic feet for one worker in the factory. So far as those factories are concerned, which were established after this law, after the promulgation of Labor Laws Amendment Ordinance 1972, there you see the scale is 500 cubic feet, 500 cubic feet, meaning that if there is a working room which is of 5,000 square feet, 5,000 square feet, not more than 10 workers should be required to work there. If you see the number of workers working in that room is more than 10, just suppose they are 12 or they are 15 or whatever, then it means that it is contravention. This is violation of this Section 18. And for violation, you see inspectors are there if they found, you see that in a room which is 5,000 square meter, 5,000 square feet, and the number of people working there is 15 or 20. This is violation of Section 18, and for this violation of Section 18, the management will be fined or would be awarded punishment in any form. Okay, so overcrowding forbidden, or there should be no overcrowding, and moreover, according to Section 19, the next part of the health and safety of labors talk about lightening. You see, how should be the lightning inside the factory? Section 19 talks about it, and I have divided section 19 for your convenience into four part. Part A talks about lightning of the workplaces. Part B talks about emergency lights. Part C talks about cleaning of glazed windows that also you see have concern with the provision of light. And part four and last part talks about prevention of glare and shadows. Let's see it. 40 minutes have gone, but I haven't been told that my session is going to end. I don't know whether should I end it or not. Let us carry on. Let us carry on. I started it at 8 o'clock on 9. Now I think Zoom administration have forgotten to inform me that my 40 minutes time has passed. I don't know whether I should continue or not.